Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to talk about 3 common mistakes that beginning videographers make in their business. So, the first mistake a lot of people make is not setting the right expectations for themselves and for their clients. So the thing is that when I first started out, I was just so excited and so hungry to get work that I would promise the moon to somebody, and then sometimes I wouldn't be able to deliver it because it would be outside of either my experience level or my budget, And so that's the worst thing that can happen because not only do you have a worse product at the end, but you're going to lose the relationship and you're not going to get more business from them. So when I'm starting out with a client, I want to make super clear what product they're getting and what it takes to get the product done. Because a lot of times what happens with beginning videographers is that they'll get a client that shows them some video which costs like $100,000 to make, and then they'll offer you $2,000 to make the same video. And if you say yes, you just created an unrealistic expectation. So that's why you want to be really clear. So a lot of times if a client gives me an example video, the first thing I'll say to them is I'll say, hey, that looks really cool. We're going to try and get as close to that as possible, but here's the conditions we need to get it done. And if we don't have the budget for this or we don't have the right elements, here's what we can do to approximate that. And really all they care about is that you're getting a similar effect at the end. So really what's even more important for creating the right expectations is you want to understand like what they want the viewer to get by the time they're done watching the video. So if you could figure that out first, then you can agree upon what's going to go in the video and what it takes to get it done. And that's how you create realistic expectations. So that actually leads me into my second most common mistake that videographers make in the beginning is that they don't budget properly. And believe me, I totally understand it's super hard to budget correctly when you're beginning because you don't know what it takes to get the job done, So one thing that I found really helpful in creating a proper budget is you want to have the mentality that in the beginning, you're going to need to invest in the product. The profit is not as important as creating a high quality product at the end. So that means you got to give and take a little bit. If somebody gives you a $2,000 job and you think you're going to make $1,000 off of it, you've got to be prepared to take less too. But for you, when you're starting out budgeting for clients, the best thing that you can do is you got to estimate how many days it's going to take for you to do something. And then you figure out what your day rate is and you charge that. So for instance, let's say you're going to do a real estate video. It's going to take 1 day to shoot, okay? It's going to take 2 to 3 days to edit. So that's, let's say 4 days total. And if you want to make about $500 a day, then you're going to go ahead and say that is a $2,000 video. So basically, to create a realistic budget for your clients, you want to estimate how many days it's going to take for you to accomplish the project from beginning to end, which means shooting and editing. I don't usually charge for pre-production especially in the beginning stage, because nobody's going to pay you hundreds of dollars to figure out how to shoot something. That's just the way it is. So after you've figured out how many days it's going to take to shoot something, you want to add another 10 to 30% of that total cost onto the budget so you have some wiggle room in case you make some mistakes. And the last thing about that is it goes back to mentality, which is once you've created a budget, unless the client is changing the conditions which make it cost more, if you make mistakes and you're eating into your profit, you're just going to have to eat it because, for me at least, I build my reputation upon doing what I say no matter what it takes. And if you can kind of live by that, then it's going to end up in the long run getting you more clients and a better relationship with those clients. The last common mistake that I see beginning videographers make is they do not communicate with their client often and early enough. So especially if you're starting out, you want to consider each project as a collaborative process that you're doing with the client, which means that if there's any difficulties or troubles, instead of trying to cover for them, you want to be open and explain it to them, you know. Also, if they're starting to be unrealistic about stuff, don't wait until you're so angry that you just want to say F you and walk away from the project. You want to let them know right away what challenges you're seeing that you're facing. So the more that you communicate in an open and honest way, the better relationship you can have, and the more that the product is going to end up in a successful manner. So those are my 3 most common mistakes I see beginning videographers make. Please feel free to leave a comment with the struggles you have in your business. And if you have any questions, leave them below as well, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Click on the subscribe button below and check us out at videographyacademy.com, where you're going to get the latest and greatest news, tips, and tricks on how to supercharge your videography business, make a lot of money, and also get paid to do what you love.